episode of the Poproast podcast, George. Did I stutter?
No, did I stutter, bitch? No.
Did I fucking stutter?
I was just trying to time up the background. That was all.
Yeah. And you know, if you got an eye on the background there, you might get a little bit of hint of what we're going to get into in a little bit. We are doing another episode here. Very luckily, this almost didn't happen, everyone, because not too long after recording last week's episode, I got a message from George, and he's like, "Mate, can we talk for a minute?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, that's it. He's had enough. It was a good run. You know, we were so close to 20 subscribers. We got 19 subscribers. We could have gone all the way. This is it. He's breaking up with me. It's over." By the way, like and subscribe. Get us over that 20 mark. Let's do it.
Yeah, go on.
But then it wasn't that. It was because you always go to the worst. But he actually wanted to speak to me about, you know, like my advice on a personal matter, which I won't get into. It's nothing weird. Those lumps are going to be fine.
You've already
nothing at all. But I'm not going to get it. But man. No, I honestly wanted to say though, like I was genuinely quite touched that we had that conversation. I thought that was good, and hopefully it deepens our bond and creates better conversations when we're doing this bullshit as well. You know, because life can't be all fucking seriousness all of the time. We gotta have. I'll tell you what we gotta have. You know, speaking of like our reaffirmed love for each other that you was just telling me about. Zack Snyders piping up. And he's saying about how he wants to do a sequel to 300, and he wants this to be a gay love story featuring Alexander the Great, who I don't know if he was canonically actually gay. Maybe they just misheard when he said, you know, "I'm great," and they were like, "Oh, he's gay. He must have meant he's gay." I don't know. I'm no historian. By the way, we're getting this article, a comic book movie. We get a lot of our stuff from them. It occurred to us that maybe we don't reference our sources when we're talking about news stories, because to us it's just like, oh well, it's just a thing that I read, or it's just a thing that I know, because you know we're plugged into this stuff moderately, and I think we kind of just take that for granted a little bit, maybe.
Definitely, and it's good to like
we're putting them on the screen, so we've got a credit when they're on the screen. It's almost like they're a third host of the show. So yeah, big up. I don't know why I said big up.
Big ups, comicbookmovie.com.
Big up to the comic book movie breadwin. Whatever. So yeah. So Zack Snyder, famously, one of his early movies, was 300, an adaptation of Frank Miller's vaguely historically based graphic novel. Very iconic movie. I'd go to as far as to say it's like a modern classic. I think most people would agree that this is a good movie, right?
Yeah, most people. Are you a fan?
I'm getting the feeling that you're not. Is that where we're going with this?
Never really got into it.
Never got into it. I mean, you know, it's not. It. You watched it. That's fair. You owe it that. You owe it that. But but you don't not like it. It's just fine.
Yeah.
Or you don't have any. Do you have any like specific issues? Is it a sweaty man thing?
I just remember. Nah, it's nothing like that. Nothing
creepy
about
little goblin man thing. You don't like creepy little goblin men?
Nah, that's fine. Goblin men are fine. You know, I'm half goblin myself. Like, I don't know, fucking. I just remember like. Just remember hearing that
it
a lot.
did get
And then I
people.
was like,
People used to reference it a lot, like not
and
ironically, and I think now it's when people reference it, it's ironically because I think a lot of that movie has become very memed.
yeah,
But there was a time where blokes would be like at the pub and they would like kick a chair out of their way and then they'd go, "This is Sparta,"
yeah,
and
sorry, there's this
people
part,
would
not we are
it
Sparta.
there was I think it's not too dissimilar from like how Fight Club, how that was like a comment on toxic masculinity, and it, like a lot of movies, this happens with especially these kind of like cult classic movies.
Yeah,
They some quite often get picked up by the people that
by the very
they were
people
they were
yeah,
talking about in the first
yeah,
place, and it's just whoosh over the head. And I mean, that's fine. Not everyone can have a heightened cinematic sensibility as we do on the Pop Roast podcast.
yeah.
But
I'm definitely
but
not
I
saying
get
that
what you're
by any means.
saying.
But yeah, I
Nah,
just
it's fine.
wasn't
I don't.
massively into it.
I
And he's
think it's
gone.
a really,
He's back.
really good movie. Like, it did something cool and different. Very similar to like what talking about again about Robert Rodriguez did with Sin City. Kind of in a different angle, but they kind of just like took like different visual things and just
Yeah,
kind of went like over the deep end with them. And I think as far as like action adventure like swords and sandals kind of movies, which we don't get a lot of that kind of stuff these days. I
no, that
say
is
these
like,
days that this was like 2006, but
yeah, that was the modern era, big, big
yeah.
one for, like you say, swords and sandals. Um, yeah, I don't know.
But
Yeah, visually, yeah, definitely amazing.
and
But
obviously the sequel, the belated sequel slash prequel slash whatever it was like in betweenquel, which was very kind of like too little too late. Not a lot of people saw it, even though it had Eva
insane.
Green in it. And if you're going to put Eva Green in a movie like that, that's going to draw a very specific group of eyeballs to it if they have red blood in them. Don't matter who you are.
I remember you already referenced Eva Green before, and I actually had to put an image in somehow, and then I've
Oh,
already
don't.
forgotten what she.
I was going to
No, I
say,
remember now.
you Google Eva Green, you'll not be coming back anytime soon from the internet. Like, that's goodbye. You start scrolling down that page,
I think I can
and
contain myself.
you'll manage. So yeah, so Zack Snyder wanted for a long time to do some other stuff related to 300. Obviously, he kind of, by the time they got around to making the second one, he was like balls deep in DC and everything else. So that he didn't make that.
That didn't
But
work
he
out.
has it didn't work out.
Well,
But well, no, that's fine.
I'm sure he
They're
made
normal.
a
Oh, he
pretty
made
penny.
money, regardless of whether
Yeah,
the movies made money or not. He still got paid. Like,
yeah.
that's fine. I mean, his life is kind of, he's had a bit of a crazy ride of it, both professionally and personally. So,
I
like
don't
or
know anything about his
dislike,
personal life.
yeah.
None of my business.
No, at least, yeah, no, like
None of anyone's business.
him and his wife lost their daughter a few years
Oh,
ago
that
in
sucks.
like 2016, I think.
Shit.
And then DC kind of used that tragedy as like almost like their leverage to get him off of Justice League, which was being shot at the time. And it was all a bit icky and shit and unfortunate all
Hollywood.
round, really. But anyway, he's got
Yeah.
the rights.
Anyway,
He's got the rights to make this movie. He's got a big old deal with Netflix. Rebel Moon, which is coming out later on in this week. Watch this space if you want to hear us talk about that. And so I would assume that this is something that he will be shopping or pitching to as part of his, like, I think he's got like a 5-picture Netflix deal. I'm not sure if that includes or is on top of the Rebel Moon movies. I'm not sure if it's like, oh, I'll make these and then I get to do these other ones as well, or if it's like, let me make Rebel Moon 1, 2, and 3, presumably, whatever they do, and then let me do a couple of other like passion projects or whatever. So I think there's a fairly good chance that, because they seem to have a lot of faith in this Rebel Moon, you know, that massive budget, massive marketing, a lot of imagination and scope going on in that. So hopefully this is a new era.
I'm interested to see Rebel Moon. But yeah, he's also got that Army of the Dead thing, which I still haven't
love
seen.
that. I really wanted to like that movie. Again, you know,
Yeah,
after him coming off of the DC stuff, and I thought the trailer was decent, and the movie just doesn't really do anything. Not a lot happens. It's got like a really cool opening sequence, and then, but you can tell that it was like it was a personal movie for him as well. Like, it's definitely some you know, some familial like drama like woven, and the movie is more about that. It's just, and it's not what they marketed as. But and again, with Zack Snyder, you expect, like, you know, big sweaty sword men or whatever, like hacking up zombies for 2 hours, and you got bickering with, you know, Dave Bautista and his kid.
I just remember seeing the tiger zombie or something.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I was like,
I guess
I'm not in a rush to see this. And then,
maybe I'll give that another go. We'll see.
I should give it a go, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm definitely actually going to give it a go now.
Right on. Yeah, it's on Netflix, so it'll still be on there. It's a Netflix original, so it'll still be on Netflix.
Yeah, back to the story at hand, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm down to see this. Absolutely lean into the gayness, make it crazier, make it bigger, make it gayer, make it sweatier. You know, I mean, what a title! How metal is that title? Blood and Ashes.
Blood and Ashes. Yeah,
like that says it all. Like, yeah, give me that. You know, I don't need it to be like groundbreaking story wise, like, and it's hopefully it doesn't feel like a cheap knockoff like the sequel kind of did, you know, because this is like the guy who's like, this is his style, like he invented this style pretty much of this, like, you know, really, I don't know what the word for it is, but there's definitely like a sheen to the way that his movies kind of look, you know, and it's very his movies almost look like Alex Ross paintings.
They've always got that
a lot of the time.
There's something a bit ethereal, a bit
a bit larger than life. A bit wild.
Often a bit sepia, but like, I don't know, that's a lot of modern cinematography, I find. Like a lot of those horror remakes, it's got like, it almost just looks like dark green or just looks nasty.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Anything else on that?
Yeah. I'm just going to say I had no idea about Zack Snyder's personal life. Not that it makes odds to me, but
yeah.
I'm not going to say I was a hater or anything, but
yeah,
I probably have talked some shit on him in the past. But
a lot of people have, and you know, there's a lot of questionable, again, stylistic choices or script choices or directing choices, you know, but who isn't making, you know, not everyone, nobody's batting 100 these days, you know what I mean? It's hard to make a good movie, especially now in this day and age where there's so many things you've got to take into consideration. Technology and, you know, people's like mindsets are just changing so rapidly, you know what I mean? Like, it's getting, and plus all the good movies have already been fucking made, so it's just that you know, that sweet spot is getting smaller and smaller, like every day. So, you know, You know, I don't, like I say, I don't love everything he's done, but we'll see how we go. We'll
see
looking
what
forward to
happens.
Yeah,
It's
we're
not
talking
been,
Rebel Moon
nothing's
next
been,
week.
yeah,
Yeah,
nothing's been confirmed with this anyway, has it? With Blood and Ashes.
No, this is all still. This is just like he's got like something up his sleeve for this, and he it seems like he's got the ability to pull the trigger on it. Again, I think that does depend on, you know, because he still, whether or not he has the rights to it is one thing. If a studio is going to fund it, is another thing. And if Rebel Moon is a big fucking, you know, moon-sized bust, then probably not. But then maybe this is a smaller budget thing. So maybe flipping that on its head, maybe if Rebel Moon is a flop and he needs to go back to making something kind of smaller to build himself back up again, if Blood and Ashes is a, you know, is a more intimate, like gnarlier, like back to basics kind of movie, then maybe this will be the perfect thing for him to come back to. Either way, you know what I mean?
We'll wait and see, I guess.
We will see. What's next on the docket here, Joe? We got Shaw 11. Speaking of things that keep getting sequels or taking big breaks and then coming back and, you know, murdering lots of people on the way, Shaw is announced at 11. And I'm not sure if I don't have it, but I was scrolling Twitter or X earlier, and I saw something about I saw Lee Winnell's name popping up, so I feel like maybe he's coming back to direct this, but don't quote me on that. Maybe that's just, maybe I'm misinterpreting the what I saw there. But yeah, George is the man with the data. He can.
I didn't even look at this. I didn't even look at this story. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have time.
Is it Lee Winnell? I think maybe coming back. He, of course, was the one of the original writers of the Shaw movies. He played one of the lead roles in the original Shaw movie. Was it Jake, the dude who's chained up in the bathroom with the doctor dude? Jake something, the photographer or whatever. Yeah.
The details are very sparse, so
okay.
No
so maybe he's involved with this somehow, which is a good thing, probably. You know, studios are all about, you know, we want to bring back old talent from franchises, you know, both behind and in front of the camera to like get that extra pop that a lot of movies need these days. Because like we were saying a minute ago, things are struggling a lot of the time these days. But we liked Shaw, didn't we? We both. I thought Shaw was pretty solid. Shaw X. It is basically it was everything you would expect from a Shaw movie, but it had some extra added like soul and pathos and like a bit more, you know, intricate character stuff for the first like 30 minutes at least. Like it tried, you know, and I think it was reasonably successful in balancing what it did there. The question is, does this take place directly after that? Because they've said, and even the
it was between 1 and 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, and even the directors and the writers of that Short X have come out and they said, yeah, we're not gonna lie, it was a mistake to kill John Kramer in Shaw 3, and ever since then we've just been trying to find ways to have him come back. And so far, you know, within the reasonably like crazy zany Shaw logic world, you know, they haven't done, you know, they've not done clones or brought him back from the dead. It's all been like reasonably clever and consistent with like flashbacks and again with this one taking place in between. The question is, how many movies can you do in between before people do you think people question it, or do you think fuck it, like,
I mean, I have,
it doesn't matter that much?
I've questioned it. To me, stuff like this, I know we briefly, we didn't get into the discussion about Texas Chainsaw 2022, but on the similar sort of topic with the retconning or like bringing characters back, it's an obvious, just fan service. Which to me, it's just like,
but I think
I get that you want to make money, right? This is the whole point of doing this. So
there's much more reason for Kramer to be in this movie, or Short X at least, than there was for Ellen Bernstein to be in The Exorcist, which I'm not sure if you've seen that 100%.
Yet. Yeah. No, I still haven't. And I'm probably going for a while.
But there's I like, which is what I'm saying. Like, I think like within the realms of the Shaw like parameters there, they've not overly taken the piss. Like I say, they've had a couple of people like maybe like you thought they were dead but they're not, but they've not like full on just like, no, you saw John Kramer get his head cut open and shot in the end of Shaw 3 or whatever it was, and now he's just alive again. They've gone back. They've done one movie in between to like establish where they are in the timeline, and I think now they've kind of just got carte blanche to just go, now we can just do 11, 12, 13, and people will just assume that they all just take place in this gap, and nobody's really gonna who's sitting there and working out like the timeline on Shaw movies. Really,
I'm pretty sure I had a note on that, because it was something like, I can't remember it now. I'd have to literally like look back to find it. But it was something like a few weeks or months before or after the events of Saw 1.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Or was it Saw 2?
And no, it's between Saw 1 and Saw 2.
Yeah, so it would have been just after Saw 1. So there's probably still more time between Saw 1 and Saw 2 after the events of this. So Saw X.
I think we get like X, 11 and 12. And then maybe, I think, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, sorry. To your original question, it's just overthinking it when it comes to stuff like that. It is just meant to just be a fun film, but of course you want it to make some level of sense. But,
absolutely. And when I say like we say we don't need to overthink it, that's not to downplay, like, because Shaw does have like a very passionate fan base, and there are people that do take the law very seriously, which is why I say, like, I do feel like they've at least tried, as ridiculous as it is, they placed the line, like, a pretty far line. They placed the line of logic, but they've stuck, they've stuck on the right side of that line as far as they made it. And I mean, who doesn't want to just like have that job? Or I'm sure we said this on the review as well. Just like, you just sit around in a room, like drinking coffee, coming up with traps all day. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the human mind has no limits. We will come up with. There will always be more traps. You think that they can't possibly come up with anything, but they will.
Always finding new ways to fucking mutilate people.
Maybe, I tell you what, maybe if we think about it, we'll come back in a later episode and we'll pitch a trap. That might be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that could be fun.
We'll pitch a Shaw trap, which we might expose like our inner sociopaths, or we might tell like the nature of our traps might be very telling. What was that?
I don't know. Or just expose your like ultimate fears. Like, what's
this
the
is
worst
what I'm
thing?
saying?
Because
yeah,
immediately, like that whole eye suction thing. Like, I don't like things with eyes. Like, I always had like things like that.
I don't either. I mean, I think most people hate eye stuff. I think that's a fairly common thing to hate.
Yeah.
However, there's no cutting, there's no stabbing, there's no chopping, sawing, or fucking breaking. As brutal as it is, just they're out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a fairly clean, as far as a saw trap goes, that's a fairly clean way to have it. I would
say this, but you don't know, like, you know, like.
I mean,
don't know
no,
how
it
painful
probably
that could be
stings.
if they were
It
like,
probably stings. It probably feels really horrible.
Stings.
But I reckon
Yeah.
if you just fucking don't even bother with the thing and just let the vacuum just like dial all the way up like quick or whatever, and just
I'm sure you
get
go
that
in
shit
pretty
over.
quick. Yeah.
Do you reckon, like, how strong are your eyelids? Could you reckon you could like
know.
hold on to them? You could hold them in with your eyelids. I want to see like Mythbusters do like jaw traps. You know what I mean?
That would be an interesting episode.
Yeah, but they hate each other now though, right? They don't talk apparently. But maybe the way to get them back for a reunion is they get to test jaw traps out on each other.
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, looking forward to sure. We'll be seeing that. We'll have a lot of fun reviewing it.
Yeah, we should probably pick up the pace with these, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely pick up the pace. So Alien, we talk about Alien. There's a lot of Alien stuff going on, and not just talking about in the real world where there is potentially alien stuff. Again, watch that space for another time. We'll chat about that at some point, I reckon. But yeah, so Alien Romulus is taking place, and again, we just talked about this. Is taking place in between Alien and Aliens. Which I thought was interesting because the general consensus was always, if they were ever going to do something like this, they should probably go after Aliens and like bring Newt back and do all that as like, you know, and not murder everyone in the pods at the end of from the end of Aliens or whatever. But we're going straight back to between Alien and Aliens, but then obviously it's not going to have. I don't think it's going to be Sigourney Weaver. I just think it's going to be in that time period, but it'll be another ship off in another place.
It says during the time. During that time, it's not the Ripley character was in cryo sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And so.
Which is fine. And again, you can do. I mean, she was in cryo sleep for like a few hundred years, right? In those movies, or is it like 87 years? I think it was
like something like 60-something years. It says so in that article. Exactly.
It's a while. You know, it's a long nap. It's a long nap. Don't matter. We got this is being directed by Fede Alvarez, who directed the Evil Dead remake, which is shockingly good. That movie should not have worked, and especially something that was synonymous with, like, you know, very known for being very scary, sure, but also the zany, crazy Sam Raimi like comedy slapstickness of it all. And they just completely, if you told me that they would do an Evil Dead movie where they took that stuff out and it would work, I'd say that you were fucking mental. But they just turned the darkness all the way up on that fucking movie, and I think it really works. Again, it's
almost too dour for me, man. But I feel like I need to like.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong, the zaniness, there is, like, you know, where like the Deadites, like, she's like, you know, they start like growling, and they work up and they get she's on withdrawal, and that kind of plays in because it's just like, you know, this screaming and this pain and this fucking fury that can come out of the human body, and like, you know, it's like you're purging a demon. You know, it's all very metaphorical, George. You wouldn't understand.
I did. I just seem to remember that being some subtext.
Yeah, but love that movie, and that tone for an Alien movie.
Yeah, I can see it working.
I'm in the theater. Alien, one of my favorite like movies of all time. I prefer the first one to the second one. I love that claustrophobic horror shit, that slow burn stuff, and this is going to be gnarly. I think this is going to look fantastic. You know, can't wait to see how his style transfers over to like a futuristic sci-fi setting. And
definitely. intrigued.
Pretty exciting.
I swear I had a release date for that. Sorry.
Yeah, I was literally just I was looking for that as well, and I couldn't see it, so I was just going to move on. Well, sort of sidestep more
Romulus,
than move on.
There you go. August 16th.
20. Yeah. So yeah,
2024.
not long at all. Which is what I was going to get onto. Presumably, this is what you're going to say. We're getting an Alien TV series as well. So,
yes.
Much like how we're having the era of the Godzilla at the moment, which we'll get to in a minute, maybe we're going to have like a little alien, you know, little alien renaissance, an alienations, if you will.
Alienations. I like
alienations. Hashtag alienations. Tweet at me. Hashtag alienations. Dean Lee Live. Give me those X's. Give them all to me. But yeah, so we're getting X me good, Daddy. That's what I want.
Spank me, Daddy.
Absolutely. Clip me, Daddy.
Daddy, chill.
Moving on. So Aliens getting a TV show with Noah Hawley, who's done two of my, and I haven't seen all of these, but these are two really good shows with Fargo and Legion. I don't know if you've seen either of those.
I've not seen Legion at all.
Okay.
Fargo, I haven't seen Legion.
Yeah, so I've seen
Fargo.
Yeah, 3 seasons of Fargo I've seen. 4 came out last year. 5 is just come out, or is just about to come out. I'm not sure. And Legion, I think, was 2 seasons. I've only seen the first season, and obviously that was based off of an X-Men character, and they kind of just went off with it and did like their own like contained story, like set in a mental institution. And he's like a super powerful psychic, and the show does crazy stuff with like bending time and reality, and it's very much like Inception, like where it's like you're in a dream, in a mind, in a flashback, in a thing, and it really like
it's a head fuck show.
It's a head fuck show, and you don't realize. You don't even understand episode 1 until you finish watching episode 6, and it all comes together at the end. It's one of those kind of shows.
I'll have to check it out.
But it's still got that, like, you know, again, I think it's a similar aesthetic to like Fargo, where it is all like those very like pastels, those whites and greys, and that kind of, you know, that grainy look to it, which again is a completely different style to what Fede Alvarez did in Evil Dead, but also it's just, I would say, almost just as intriguing as far as like how that could be applied to this franchise, and also what does the plot look like for that? Because, you know, and most Alien,
so it's a prequel apparently.
But like, how do you handle that? Is there aliens in it like every episode? Is it like a slow build, like what you would do with the movie? You know, how do you kind of navigate that from a storytelling perspective? You know, like if it's a weekly show or whatever.
I'll be interested to see how they handle it. Yeah, but all I saw was from this article that David Rysdale had been added, and he plays like a you know, an humanoid, an android. But like
we're getting android still in there.
Humanoid, and it just comments on how some of these androids are potentially as dangerous as the xenomorphs, and
they absolutely are, George. It's very metaphorical. You wouldn't understand. But no, they also, I don't think this is in this article, but Timothy Oliphant is in this show. Timothy fucking Oliphant is in this show, and if you don't, you recognize him. He's in everything. Every TV show he's in is a big hit. He's in I think was it like Justified. He's the dude. You remember the girl next door? the movie The Girl Next Door, where he finds out that the girl that he has a crush on is like a porn star.
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, and Timothy Oliphant in that plays the he's like the movie. He's like the sleazy movie
I recognise him
producer.
now.
He's in Santa Clarita Diet. He's in that with Drew Barrymore, which is a really good show.
Yeah.
He's
I haven't actually seen that. It looks like something I'd probably be into, to be fair.
Oh, well, that's really good. Yeah, really good.
He's in the remake of The Crazies. He's in a lot of shit. Yeah.
He's a really class, he's like a class A-list actor who's like not an A-list actor who should be.
Okay.
All about Timothy Oliphant. I'm presuming it'll be more of like an ensemble show, because you need people to get picked off. But yeah, we're having an Alien Nations next year.
Yeah,
absolutely
like
can't wait.
Well, there's no release date announced yet for that, but
yeah. And that's going to be on Hulu, which just got is now officially getting absorbed into Disney. So we'll be able to watch it hopefully. So yay!
We'll see.
You know, it's nice when we can watch stuff, isn't it? Because then we can talk about it.
It is. Last bit of news.
Godzilla, everyone. Everyone's having a renaissance. You get a renaissance. You get a renaissance. Godzilla is having a fucking big monster moment. We've got there's the Monarch TV show that's on again. We don't have it. Well, we have it in the UK. I just don't think we have it. Maybe you have it. It is on Apple TV Plus.
I don't.
So the Monarch TV show is apparently doing very well. Critics are loving it. Fans are loving it. You know, it's not heavy on the monsters. Character drama. Kurt Russell's in it. You know, everyone's having a lovely time, and that's a really well-esteemed show at the moment. I think it's nearly finished now. I think it's like 6 or 8 episodes or whatever. Then you've got Godzilla -1, which is the newest Japanese Godzilla movie, which I haven't seen. I want to. Have you heard about this movie, George? Because I want to see the shit out of this.
Very little. Very little.
People are raving. I'm hearing this might be the definitive Godzilla movie of all time. Like, this is the one, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. It's out Friday.
It is out
15th.
Friday. Yeah. Everything. What is going on the 15th? But a Barbenheimer move out of the way, because on the 15th you're getting some Godzilla, you're getting Rebel Moon, and you're getting Chicken Run 2 Dawn of the Nugget. So where's the Barbenheimer marketing campaign for that? Where's the Rebel egg? Do you know what I mean? Which you heard that one here first, folks. Rebel egg. Friday the 15th. Egg. Friday the 15th of December will be henceforth known as Rebel Egg Day. Anyway, and obviously we've absorbed the Godzilla Kong trailer. That's completely different style. That's much more like, you know, bombastic Hollywood, over the top, you know, everything that you would expect. But I think it looks like it has more creativity and heart and some actual meat to it than, you know, something like a Fast and a Furious, or, you know, a Meg, or one of those kind of movies. This is definitely a cut above those, but it's still it's not going to be Citizen Kane, obviously. But Godzilla's having a moment.
It'd be nice to see it. Yeah. Fair play to it. I feel like
people are loving it.
Deserving.
How are you on the? How are you on the big G? From one big G to another, like. You know, you a kaiju.
I'm not a kaiju freak.
He's a kaiju where it counts.
I do really appreciate it. You know, what's not to love? Like we briefly touched on this before. Like, you know, fucking in comparison to like a Jason or your typical like horror slasher, human-sized monster, you know, potentially a
the kill
fucking
count is
giant.
through the roof.
Yeah, it's like
He's
that's
slaying.
far more
Move over,
terrifying.
Jason, with your 87 kills or whatever you've had, like over the course of like 12 movies. Like Godzilla gets that in like one sneeze,
one swoop. Yeah,
one fucking
a fart,
one little flick of the wrist, with his weirdy little short arms. One little flick of the deformed wrist, and he's just fucking wiped out like a whole city block. Which begs the question: do you consider kaiju movies? Are they horror movies? I don't think they are, but
no,
they
they
feel like
seem
they should be.
They always have the more like action. There's always, you know, you got your human element with the narrative where there will be, you know, characters and a love interest and whatnot. I mean, which most stories have in general. But
it's just, but
it's not.
then
It's just not like gory or anything. Well, saying that.
No, not
like,
really. I mean, although I hear Godzilla -1 does like he's kind of like, I mean, I think it is PG-13, but apparently it's pretty gnarly and scary in places. It's probably more in line with like a Jurassic Park or a Jaws is what I'm imagining, you know, as opposed to like limbs and everything. I mean, there is no limbs. You're just flat. Like there's nothing to be,
I mean,
chewed or because Godzilla doesn't even eat people. I don't think Godzilla traditionally eats people.
If you wanted to go that route, like, you know, showing some mangled up, like just squashed, you know, corpses is. I'm not saying I want to see that.
No, but you could just like pan past the cityscape afterwards, like Akira or something, and you just see everyone all like smashed under trucks and fucking mangled. You know, buildings on their heads and, you know, steel beams coming out their ears or whatever, like all that kind of shit.
We're never getting that, but you know.
I kind of want that. I feel like that's the only thing left to do, right? That's the only thing left to do. And maybe we
in
could
our
do
Godzilla
like
comic that we write.
I mean, it's
he also parts out
Godzilla,
his flatulence is like nuclear.
Yeah, like Hogzilla or something. Like, it's like a giant pig, a massive city stomping pig. And not even like a bipedal like Hogman, like from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is it Bebop or Rocksteady, whatever? Pig. Literally just 4 legs, farm pig, but it's the size of like a football stadium. And it just rolls around. Like the city is the mud. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Destroys everything.
Sty City, as it were. Big old fucking pig. But
yeah, sorry, man. Back to that question. I'm an appreciator of a fucking Godzilla and yourself. Obviously.
Yeah, I've always liked them from like afar. I've seen like a couple of the classic ones, you know, but like in college or whatever, and it's like late night and everyone's, you know, in certain moods and that kind of scenario. And you know, I've followed like the big movies, you know, over the last sort of like 2 decades, you know, from like Godzilla 98 was really sort of, I mean, it was when that movie came out that they started airing like all of those old ones. They started running marathons of those like on like Channel 4, like all night. They used to do whole
pretty well.
Things of that.
That film didn't do so good itself.
And then the film actually came out, and then the Godzilla hype died down pretty quick.
Yeah. Jamiroquai.
The effects in that movie are pretty good. And I think they did okay with like the scope of it. Like they definitely sized it down, but yeah, it was just the story really and the whole, you know, like the disaster movie tropiness of it all. You know, there's always a dude, and he's always got to steal a cab in a busy city to get to an estranged daughter, or to get some science information to the Pentagon, or you know what I mean? Like it's always
they're on a mission.
It's always, and there's usually 2 or 3 of these stories. You mix and match them. And then you've got like a wheel with like a disaster or a monster. You pick which one of those you're going to get. Like there is such, I mean, they're a guilty pleasure of mine. They've like, I've come to like quite ironically enjoy a lot of those movies for this because it's so easy to identify how like the different things are just like interchangeable is part of it. But I have a soft spot, ironically, for those you know, like those Roland Emmerich style movies. So I do go back and have a little look at that 98 Godzilla one as well. Obviously, the new movies have been great. Like talk about scope, they ballooned up the scope like 10,000-fold for the new Godzilla. So much so that they had to shrink him back down so that Kong would be able to fight him. Like if you look at the scale of Godzilla from the first one, the second one to Kong versus Godzilla, they had to incrementally tone it down,
match him up.
Because like you can't make Kong that big, because that's just, it kind of ruins. I think Godzilla, you could be more flexible with the size because it's just like a big lump of green scales and shit. But I think if you make Kong too big, you know, and he's like, you know, straddling the Empire State Building or whatever, like it gets too silly. So Godzilla drew the excuse the pun, but Godzilla drew the short straw in that equation. Like, sorry Godzilla, we got to shrink you down, but we'll give you first billing though. We will call it Godzilla X Kong, not Kong X Godzilla. So there's the compromise.
I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to debate sizes of mythical.
Because size doesn't matter. Exactly, George. I'm glad you said that.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. I mean, you know, from you and Big G and your Big G club or whatever, must be nice from your fucking Big G, your ivory G-shaped tower. Fucking you and Godzilla sitting on top of it. Fucking little deck chairs by a pool.
Chilling, having some
drinking martinis, wearing bathrobes and shit. Like that, I'm taking that. The G Club. Who else is in that club?
Many G's.
Many G's. Who else would you like David Guetta, I guess, maybe, like, I don't know.
No, he's not in the G Club. It's got to be first initial, mate. First initial.
It's got to be the first initial. All right. Gary Sinise, probably. He seems like he's a fun dude. You got to have Lieutenant Dan. Yeah, you know, you've got to feel your you know, your ableist quota for the G Club. So we're like, we'll get Gary Sinise, and they're like, you know, he's not actually disabled, right? And they're like, it doesn't matter. It's all about the optics. People don't care. Get him in there. Get him in the G Club. Yeah, let us know in the comments who should be in the G Club. Give us some recommendations, and then George will next week he'll be able to ratify whether or not they are in the G, whether or not they have a membership G Club, get it revoked or whatever. He'll let you know. Yeah, so let us know in the comments who should be in the G Club, and we'll tell you if they made it or not. That'll be fun. You know, be liking, be subscribing, and on that, are we getting into it?
I need a break.
We need a break. So we're going to have a little commercial break, everyone, because I need one and George doesn't because he's fine. And then right after that, we're going to be getting into the shadows with what we do in the shadows. And what we do in the shadows is talk about a vampire program. So, yeah, watch out.
In a minute.
It's death! And many, many more.
Hi, we're Megadeth.
These are the carols we grew up loving.
And you'll love them too.
Or Santa will kick you in the throat!
If you don't want to splash out this Christmas, Argus takes care of it.
And how about all I want for Christmas is the charges dropped? These nuts roasted on an open fire, a sleigh ride in my 64, Annie up, bitch, it's Christmas, and many more.
Y'all buy that shit,
Get this 2 CD set in store.
I hope everyone's feeling refreshed. I wasn't getting a drink off camera, and that wasn't not the first time that we did a take of coming back after the break. Everything is fine. My shirt's all disheveled. It looks like I've just been blowing the president under the desk. Like, what is going on? But that and whole much more stuff of fun and games and adventure is what happens in the shadows, George. Which is as our graphic that you've so wonderfully put together. You know, it's a shame. I mean, I'm disappointed that we're blocking it. To be honest, like just fucking.
Yeah, it's a nice piece. To be fair, I'll throw it up properly before.
We'll throw it up.
I'll just block our faces off so no one actually has to see us, and you can just stare at.
Just have make our screens really small and just put them in the background. So we're just shouting. So we're shouting from the back row.
Ugh, that's horrible.
There we go. Hello, I'm in the shadows. Yeah. Oh, and I'm gone. Well, that's great. That. Fucking finish me off. Fucking just put me out of my misery. Get me off of this fucking podcast, George.
How many episodes in, and I've only just actually tried that.
We are. I think we've done more episodes than we have subscribers, George. That's how I measure it.
Awesome.
I think we've done 20 odd at this point. I think.
No, what am I saying? I actually numbered it as 15.
Are we only on 15?
15.
There we go. We have more subscribers than we do episodes, everybody.
Oh, that's worse. No.
Is that worse? In my head, I thought it was going to be better. It depends how you look at
more
it.
niche.
We want to be niche, that because
we are. I don't think
like vampires. We're a secret society that bubbles away maliciously under the regular society. And sometimes it's super, super blatantly fucking obvious, and other times it's not. But yeah, so season 5, George, season 5. Now, you was on this show a bit before I was. I was pretty late to the blood train, and I ended up binging 4 seasons in 2 weeks. We did a whole episode about it after much build up because we didn't get around to doing that particular episode for reasons that I don't even remember. It was 15 episodes ago.
Yeah, we just wanted to do it justice, and we had other things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a lot coming out when we were sort of starting. It was September, October. There was a lot of things that we wanted to cover, and what better way to fill in the gaps and binging a fantastic series based on one of my favorite movies that I didn't think was going to be good. Hence why I didn't get on it for so long. Ended up, like I say, binging this whole thing. George watched it again, maybe even again. I don't even know at this point. Did you go back and
watched it 2.5 times? I watched the last episode again earlier when I got back from work. But definitely got some thoughts.
Yeah, because I binged all of it, like I say, in 2 weeks, and then when we did our show, I went back and I watched like sort of like highlight episodes. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes from each season or whatever, like prep myself back up for it. We were pretty excited. They left on a tasty cliffhanger, which isn't something that this show really does. It's not one of those kinds of, this isn't House of Cards.
No, but you did have that thing with Laszlo at the end of season 2 going into season 3, wasn't it? With
where they all get shipped off to London and stuff.
At the end of season 3 going into season 4, wasn't it?
And
Yeah.
They
not to this level though. This is a different. Seemed like a bit more of it.
Yeah, and this was like again, because Laszlo's coming back, and he's just going to be Laszlo, for better or worse, which we will touch on a bit later. But this time, it's like this is series altering ramifications, like this. And we talked about it, like, I don't know if they, like, it's like almost not a cliffhanger, because it's like, I don't think they can do that. They can't make Guillermo a vampire, because it kind of, it just takes away almost like the core vibe of the show.
Literally the human element of
exactly, group, right? It's the human element.
I don't know. I can't remember our predictions or whatever. I thought that he wasn't going to get turned. I think. Yeah,
we did do some little predictions. I don't remember. I think we were both kind of wishy-washy, because I think it was so kind of hard to like commit to like, are they going to do this? Because again, whether or not you want them to, and whether or not it's good for the show, it's like so different.
Yeah, I just want to say right now, just for anyone, if you see this and you haven't watched the show,
spoilers, absolutely.
Yeah, there's going to be spoilers. I was going to say about trying to keep it vague and then do spoilers, but it's kind of hard to do that with this. So
when it's different, when it's multiple episodes, because you can't like. Then it's like we've got to do like spoilers for episode 1 or episode 2, and we're not going to like do a massive like in-depth breakdown. There are channels that do that kind of stuff. There's a lot of channels that do that kind of stuff. Very well. And this isn't really like a breakdown. Again, it's not like there's so much like intricate like plot and stuff to pick apart. Not to take away from the show.
Not really. I mean, no. But
it's a comedy. It's a sitcom.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a vampire sitcom. But sitcom. One more like note on that about if anyone hasn't seen this and happens while you're still listening and you think it's daunting because it's on season, we've got 5 seasons. If you tally it up, it's only like 2.5 hours of binging. So
it's a breeze. It's a lovely bloody breeze.
Pretty easy to do. It's like 12.5 hours. No, it's 2.5 hours. Fucking
Well, they're like 20. They're like 23 minutes each.
Yeah, roughly.
So say half an hour, and then what is it? 8 episodes or 10 episodes per season.
10 apiece.
10
apiece. Yeah, sorry, it was like 12.5 hours, like half a day, just over half a day.
Yeah, it's not a lot. So pause this video right now, go and watch it, and then come back and then we'll do like a we'll do like a what's it called? I'll do like a nose wriggle like that witch sitcom, and then we'll come back and we'll go poof, and it's 12 hours later, and now you've watched it. Damn, bedazzled! Fuck's sake! There we go. Jesus Christ! There we go. I think it's bedazzled, but the little nose twitch and the little poofy effect. Anyway, you're missing out. Not too dissimilar to this when you think about it. It's like a high concept in a suburban environment. So yeah, all spoilers. We get back into season 5, episode 1, and they do this annoying thing of like they know what we want to know, and they drag it out for as long as they can in this first episode of, is he a vampire? Is he not? We don't see him do anything that's particularly leaning one way or the other. Like, we don't see him out in the sunlight, but we don't see him like, doing other things, and he's kind of just doing his normal thing. So it's like he could be, but he isn't.
Right.
And somebody from the get-go is on. He knows something's wrong. Laszlo is now in a weird turn of events. It's sort of like the most sort of like seemingly probably the second most self-absorbed kind of, just sort of hedonistic, self-gratifying, literally just that's all he wants. He's just to just enjoy life and fuck forever. So it's surprising that he's like, I noticed this.
Picking up. Yeah.
I've picked up on it. And he has one of the best jokes of the whole season, probably one of his best lines of the whole season. We get it in episode 1, which is good and bad. It's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. There's one thing I am, is the king of bottoms. Ha! And then he just and I've butchered it. But he says that he's the king of bottoms.
That very fucking voice.
It's hard. And he's got a couple of those later on that I sent one to you over the phone the other day, last week, whatever it was. Just out of nowhere, no context, just a random Laszlo line, completely for the fuck of it. But as Laszlo might himself say,
so I'd want it,
So and we're catching up with everyone. Nadia and Dolly having some problems. She got shit faced and sat on her legs with her wagon or whatever it is she says. So Dolly's pissed. There's tension.
What are those replacement legs again? Like, I can't remember what they got on.
It's like a dancing. It's like a can dancing animatronic like Christmas toy thing or whatever it is, and they turn it on and she starts doing like the cha-cha or whatever it is, like
against her will,
which is kind of cringy and hilarious to watch. Consent is important, everyone. Make sure that you don't attach the wrong legs to the wrong person. So that's good. Colin's now he's had enough of the office life. He's now and this is an obvious, like, I love how they do this with Colin. He's now in the service industry, and it's like, those people are in the service. I've had those servers before, in the same way that I've had like that office guy on the phone before. Like, these people, these energy sucking leeches are planted out in society, and it is so believable.
I believe that energy vampires are very much a thing, and we will have them in
any of them, absolutely, that is the one. If any fictional monster is real, it's the energy vampire.
Definitely.
No doubt about it, because he's like
Colin Robinson's at work, and
he's
Evie
so
Russell's
good in this season.
Speaking of, obviously we'll get there, I guess.
We'll get there. Yeah, she does come back, but
quite a few
where is it?
cameos, but
we've got some. But he where he's like, takes an order for jalapeno poppers, and then he comes back, and they don't even linger on it. He doesn't even, like, no facial expression. Nobody even registers or acknowledges it, but he comes back and he goes, "There's 4 vegetable dumplings and a chocolate pudding," and just walks away. And it's like, didn't they all order? Because they don't care what they ordered anyway, because they just did it to keep up the appearance. He gets to expand. We get to do some different things with Colin. After last season, didn't really, or I want to say we didn't really have a lot of Colin, but it was it wasn't the same.
Colin Robinson has sort of been different every season. If you kind of track it, like, I always thought, like, the first season he was very totally. I mean, he's always mundane, but like he didn't have any sass to his character. Season 2, he started getting really sassy and just come out with insults, like, which seemed out of character. Obviously, we went through his rebirth and everything. That was
almost like he's going through like a child time and a teenage time where he's being sassy, and then like an adult where he's kind of more calm and like dour, and then like you say, like with the rebirth and the cycle. And I was hoping, like last season, I kind of felt a little bit like I wanted a little bit more of the energy vampire lore. I didn't feel like we could have taken a couple more steps with that, but we get more of that here.
Yeah,
a little bit, not massive amounts, but we do it refer to a larger world of energy vampires as we move on through the series.
We do,
which I absolutely love.
Yeah, the whole energy vampire committee. Council of Energy Vampires.
I called it like 3 seconds before it happened. I mean, we'll jump around a little bit. It's fine because it's relating to Colin, and we want to just. I was going to say
we might as well get through the first episode. All
right. Before we go, all right.
That's where we were.
Before we go back to Colin, all right. Let's put a pin in Colin for a second, then, and the documentarians, they're trying to corner Guillermo. They're like, because they don't know. They're like, what happened? We know, we saw where we left off. You asked Derek, you gave him a big bag of cash in the convenience store, and what happened? And what happened, George, is very non-committal from not just the character but the show. Like they really didn't want to go either way on this, or maybe that was the plan was to kind of just have it like be like unsure, like he is himself, as we kind of later find out, or even like he kind of like he's having doubts straight away, which is annoying. Because it's like he didn't even choose to be because he's like, turn me into vampire. Okay, no, don't. I don't want to do it. Okay, do it. Okay, no, don't do it. And then it just because of like an accident and a slapstick thing, he ends up doing it, and he's fucking spraying blood everywhere. We get the CCTV camera, and which gets covered. I love that shot where he turns around and it's the school play scene from Addams Family where she turns around and sprays the audience, but he sprays the camera, right? And then Derek's like, I can't handle blood, so he's fucking passing out. Now Guillermo's fucking bleeding out. He's fucking passing out, and it's just like, I hate Derek.
You don't like him.
I know you're kind of supposed to not like him.
I feel like but,
he's too lame. Like I get like he's supposed to be like a newbie and a nerd and everything, but he's too incompetent. For a start, he just got given a big giant bag of like cash. And he's still cleaning the toilets in the convenience store.
7-Eleven, like what are you doing?
Like what are you doing? Like, and even when we come back to him later on in the season, that's it. He hasn't,
Well, I think it's an apt, like the ending. The very last. We'll get there, but like how they wrap it up and we've hit his scenario.
Well, it's fitting, but also I don't find it satisfying, even though it's fitting it, because it's just a very nothing end to a nothing character. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just everything was underwhelming, and it feels like it's on purpose that he's supposed to be like that underachiever vampire, that like college dropout,
of course,
janitor version of a vampire. But I would have liked a little bit. I would have liked them to have had. It was just a bit one note. I would have liked them to have had like some kind of slightly out of left field element to his character that kind of you give him like a weird kink, you know what I mean? Or like he sucks at everything else, but maybe he was like, you know, really good at one of the powers. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, or maybe he came up with like some clever thing that like the other vampires. I just would have liked something. He annoyed me. He just irritated me how fucking vanilla and nerdy and, you know.
I don't know. I feel like
he was the whitest vampire. Do you know what I mean? He was the whitest black vampire, is what he was. I can say it. I think I can say that. I'm not sure, but I'm saying it.
You said it now.
It's out there now.
I don't know. I didn't really dislike the character. I thought it obviously served its purpose, but it is like it's hard because I just want to skip to the end and just say like how this all plays out. Obviously, Guillermo gets turned to a vampire.
I mean, we can wrap up with Derek, right? Shall we can get to the end with Derek.
Well,
and then we don't have to talk about him again then.
Fuck it. Oh wait. You know, like,
all right, at your own pace.
I was just saying, like, to get past this point, we understand that Guillermo we believe he's been turned into a vampire.
We think so.
Yeah.
It's not taken straight away. How quickly, because they come out and basically say what it is, like, right at the end of the series. I literally, within the first 1 or 2 episodes, maybe even like, I don't remember exactly when. Yeah, no, I got it in my notes for the first episode here. He's a daywalker. He's Blade.
Yeah, well, he even makes that joke. He's like, "Yeah, you're fucking Blade. Fuck off."
And they, and they don't. And the Baron makes that joke in like episode like 7 or 8 or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't know they were going to come out and say it, but yeah, as soon as like it didn't take straight away, and I'm like, oh, because of the Van Helsing DNA, it's fighting it off, and he's basically Blade. Like when he's walking around, he's got like a little bit more of a hunger for red meat or whatever. Yeah. And he, you know, but he's got some of the strengths and none of the weaknesses or whatever, you know. But he can't do the bat. He's got maybe he can do like creepy little whiz or on his back or whatever. Like he can, and he's trying to like do like some telekinesis, which they do develop as the season goes on, with help from Laszlo, which we'll get into a bit more of that as well in a minute.
Yeah. That's what I was going to jump to. I mean, you go from that episode, you got the guy's night out, is it? The second one? Where he's out with Sean, the neighbour.
Yeah, and just one of the guys. Yeah. And I fucking go on.
No, it's just like I remember the beginning of the episode, like Laszlo talking about, you know, how Nandor always tries to hypnotize people because he
does
his wit, and
they play off of that because, like, in the previous seasons, every now and then, Nandor does. It's like a genuine like personality trait of that character that you're already like. They don't overtly say it, but you're just familiar with him as a character, and we've seen him. Is that he always goes to the hypnosis really quick. They fuck up Sean in that episode because they jump straight to it. And we've seen him do that, so it's not just like a comedy bit. Then it's like this is consistent with his character. Mm-hmm. He does always do the hypno, and then it's like Laszlo's like, "You're a bitch. You just haven't got the wit, you know, or whatever." And so he's like, "Okay, fine, I won't." And then things just gradually get worse.
Yeah.
And I love more of that sort of because we kind of made some good progress in season 4 with like the friendship of Laszlo and Nandor, because they were always kind of like, you know, they live together and they interact with each other, but they were never very chummy.
No,
and
not-
they made some really good progress, I think, without making it too chummy in
Yeah.
season 4. And then just to sort of see it here, where it's like, you know, they're just like brothers. They're just weary old brothers, like
Yeah.
at this point.
And Laszlo's always
you
trying
know,
to sort of get him to, be one of the guys with,
yeah,
Sean, and
they want to
friends.
give each other shit, but also they are like trying to push each other to like expand out of their comfort zone, and they are developing each other, which is really great. But we don't get a lot of it. Go on.
I don't know. Sorry, I was just trying to like breeze through because we haven't got time to go through every episode.
Yeah.
Like I personally kind of not trying to rush it, but I've got some bits to sort out.
Yeah, no, we can. Like I say, I didn't want to break them all down, but we can jump around.
Yeah, I was just going to go like talking on their relationship and like how the through line, obviously through the season, is Guillermo is a vampire has been turned. All the rest of the gang are trying to like keep it from Nandor, obviously.
Because gradually they all find out.
As they all find out, yeah.
Yeah, and they all handle it reasonably well. Most of and it's all with the point of Nandor is going to be devastated. Like that's really kind of, even though they like play it up like you're disgusting, traitorous, he's going to rip your head off, but really what they care about is like this could be irreparable. We all like the status quo of how it is, like even though we don't want to admit it, and we don't want anything to upset that. And I do think like you can much easier to tell at this point that it comes from a place of like deep-seated resentful love as opposed to them just being mean to him like they were at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember moving on from that episode.
Oh mate, well they're flipping cop cars, they're blowing up, like they're drinking wine, like flipping over, like firing off guns. Like they just like, how far can we ramp this up before like how far can the writers ramp this up before we then have the payoff of Nandor coming in and we have that conversation in the jail cell and everything. So it ramps up the comedy, and then but you get that pathos like as the payoff, and they do that a lot through the first half of this series. I feel like the first half of this series is a lot better than the last half of this series. I kind of got a bit, I want to say let down, but there were some things that I thought was a bit lame as we kind of
I don't want to breeze over the next two.
Focus.
I'd say the Pride Parade episode was like actually one of my favourite episodes. Actually,
I did like the Pride Parade, the GoPro footage of Nandor flying to space. It lives in my head like rent free. I just see him like I'm going to fucking space. You can't do anything about it. Like I'll fucking show you. I could, It was so good, and also you're thinking like, well, actually, because they always play like they're both like crazy powerful, but also like severely incompetent.
Yeah.
So then you're like, well, shit, can he go to space? Maybe. Like we don't fully, but he can. He does
like,
go to space,
and so like unhuman, like undead. No matter what, like that's just is not at all physically possible.
I mean, I did have the caveat though.
God,
if you're out in space and you're allergic to the sun, you would have to be very careful about.
I mean, regardless, space is a vacuum, right? So all the liquid, it's not gonna fly. I remember watching or hearing like what would actually.
Well, he's undead, so I let that. Yeah, but they're undead,
but still,
so I let that pass.
Still, you have flesh and the same organs.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not like nitpicking it, like like
we
to be a
we've
prick.
got past that point now.
No, I'm not like doing it on purpose to be a prick, but I was just genuinely like, can he go to space? And I thought they played that really well. And again, using the GoPro footage and him going to space, it does what I said about the other seasons where they just slowly and like it's like randomly but strategically at the same time like push the boundaries of what they can get away with in the show. And I feel like they lost, and again, not to get ahead, but I feel like they lost some of that as we kind of got into the last half, kind of felt all a bit safe, and how they kind of wrapped it all up.
I don't know. Yeah, well, there was another point to that episode. I did I thought there was, a strongly written episode where
how it all tied in together and with the Pride Parade,
Yeah, I had to make note of Laszlo. That's when he starts. He's aware of Guillermo's, state, and he starts to experiment on him, and he finds that he can make basically sunscreen for vampires out of Guillermo's sweat, and then he goes to the beach.
Again, this was too much. This was. I don't want to be nitpicky. That was too much for me.
Past that point. Yeah.
I mean, do you know the main part of the problem? The main problem was the circles around the eyes. Like he had the sun cream like round the eyes, but then like the eyelids and the eyeballs are just completely exposed. You're fucked.
Cool. Well, this is the thing.
And then he's splashing his legs in the water, washing it off. Splashing around, having a little paddle. That was too far. I'm sorry. Like, I get the comedy of like we want to see Matt Berry like frolicking in his Victorian undergarments on the beach, but that was one of a few moments in that really kind of jumped the shark a little bit for me, to be honest. Not to be a killjoy. I
did love that little sequence of him at the beach. He draws a massive cock in the sand. He's like,
in a vacuum, it's a funny scene. It's a funny scene of like, oh, what would a vampire do if they could go out in the sun and have a play for a bit, But like, it just felt like that was a sketch. Like, it didn't. Yeah, I felt just the leap of logic was too much, mate. The fucking sun cream around the eyes really killed it.
I'm sorry. It's fine for a vampire to fly to outer space, but you can't put on fucking vampire sunscreen and go to the fucking beach.
No, but I did say that when I thought it was cool that he flew into outer space, but I also think that when he got into outer space, and again, I don't know how it works, but when you're out in space, you're closer to the sun than you are when you're on Earth, right? Mm-hmm. So it would be presumably pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Probably not. But I thought that they handled that very well, but they didn't handle the beach thing very well.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, like again, this is where this season in particular just delved fully into the ridiculous, like with Laszlo's experiments being a prime example, like that there alone. And then as we go further, I can't remember, I think it was like episode 6 or 7 hybrid creatures. We find out that, he makes these little Guillermo pigs.
I thought the frogs were funny. I thought the frogs were really funny. I like that they popped back in every now and then. Like you'd just be watching a scene and just a frog would float past or something. Somebody's like, whatever. Like they did that once or twice.
Catches it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
but I don't know, when it got to the end and there's like goat men and frog men and dog men.
Fish, and I can't remember his name.
The fish was funny as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that it evolved into a fully like grown looking version of Guillermo, and they to the point where they mistake it for him and it gets killed, and they're like, oh fuck, well he's dead, and then it's not him. I thought that was fun, but like the goat one and the dog one, I don't know. it was a little much.
Yeah, that whole thing. I felt like it was like a nod to fucking Dr. Moreau, like in Laszlo, like the island of Dr. Moreau. I don't know if you've ever read it.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm familiar with Dr. Moreau, but no, it very much had that aesthetic, but also it was like I'm watching it. I'm like, are they prosthetic masks? Are they CGI faces? I couldn't quite.
Oh, it's definitely CG. Yeah, there are
I
little
don't know.
people.
Something about the effects. I think it was more just the effects of it was a little bit maybe too cartoonish, or maybe it should have been more grotesque, or maybe they should have made it more cartoonish just to make it obvious that they were trying to be cartoons. You know what I mean? I just felt like they could have gone just a little bit further either way, either more scary or more funny with them. It was a bit nothing, and the fact that we just, again, I know it's a fucking comedy, but we're just like, how are we going to resolve this whole storyline that's been building through the whole season? And they do this with a couple of storylines. Oh, we'll just send them to a fucking home and they can help the elderly or whatever. Like what is the paperwork look like on that? Like how do you show up at a fucking like a residential home and just be like, yeah, we've got like goat creatures and dog creatures, here you go, and it's just fine, nobody questions it. But then in another episode it's like, oh shit, I accidentally said something about my age on the news and now I've got to kill everyone or whatever. But then other times it's just like, we'll just go giving out dog creatures to fucking nursing homes.
That
and again,
freak anyone out.
It is a sitcom, but again, sometimes the show does a really good job of playing, again, like what I said about Shaw, like it sets like ridiculous rules and then it plays and has a lot of fun within the rules. This season kind of gave a middle finger. It did not off the rails, but they did push the boundaries of the logic, and the verisimilitude definitely kind of slipped a bit. And that was one of the things that made this work that I love about this, is just like, it almost like could be happening like under the surface, especially like we said with the NG vampires, and a lot of the tropes do play into like everyday things, but just every now and then just spits in the face of it. That's fine. You've got to get a pop, and I think they did a better job in earlier seasons where they would do things that were outrageous, that pushed the boundaries of the show, but without compromising the reality as much.
I mean, like that is it. At the end of the day, it's like, in reality, this is all ridiculous anyway. So just roll with it, kind of. That's the notion.
And it is. And it is your ridiculous, and obviously I love ridiculous shit, and I'll roll with ridiculous shit like all the time. But when, like I say, when other times when it does such a good job of just barely colouring in the lines, and then it just disappoints me more when I feel like they slip up outside of that. Because like, if it wasn't for those small little things, like this show like would go from like being like, a top 25 favorite show of all time to like a top 5 show of all time. Not to say that this is in my top 25 or top 5 or whatever, but
I don't know. It's
I mean.
Up there for me. Like, I don't know, not top 5, but I don't know. Like, I do enjoy it a lot. Like, as far as like series these days, it's really hard for me to find time to find anything. So something like this is easily digestible, and it's it's all the stuff I love, like horror.
That puts it up over by a long shot. The briskness of the episodes, but they don't feel like too short or like sitcom-y. They feel like there's more meat to them, and there's more stuff going on. Than just like a traditional like a 22-minute sitcom of yore. as it were. We got to get onto this though, because one episode that
speaking of briskly, I don't fucking, I can't like dawdle too much. But go on, what episode was you going to mention?
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of like pushing the boundaries of the show, it is in the episode where Laszlo starts experimenting with the creatures and stuff, and they do the Freaky Friday episode.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Dolly wants to get laid. She's frustrated, and Guido, who this is it Guido, or whatever her name is, this whole season, she's trying to get away in with the gang.
We didn't mention her at all last time.
I love her.
Kirsten Shout.
I want her to be part of the gang, like almost as much as in the
character.
Almost as much as in the first 2 seasons. How much I wanted Guillermo to get like accepted, you know, and not be so fucking horrible to him. And now I'm like rooting this whole time. She's trying to like. She's obviously bullshitting Naja. She's like, oh, well, yeah, you've got a hex. All your problems are just based on a hex. And Naja's blaming all her problems on a hex. So she plays into that. But it's not out of maliciousness. She's just trying to find a common thing where she can bond and get in there with somebody. But she's like, here we go. Dolly wants to get laid. How about we do a body swap? They literally say, we're going to do a Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
And she can borrow your body, you can get laid, and we'll swap back straight away. Promise, pinky promise, let's go. Boom. So we swap. And then the Dolly, much to your surprise or anyone's surprise, it's like, I want Colin Robinson. That's my thing. That's what gets me going. and then Colin has some great stuff. He's like, kind of very telling of his character, because we don't really view him as like this hedonistic, you know, fuck monster like the other vampires. But
he's almost like asexual, like
almost like asexual. But it is revealed to us kind of throughout this season that he very much, and it's not overtly said, but it's very implied as I'm building up to. He likes some stuff and he gets up to stuff. Or whatever, or maybe he doesn't, but he likes stuff. And he's like, I'm sorry, Naja, I don't feel like that way about you. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that this is a really weird, fucked up situation, and I love that about it, but I'm just not into you. I am into the Dolly.
Yeah, daddy likey with daddy likey.
Daddy likey with the Dolly. I was like, fuck, I should not be enjoying this.
I'm sorry, I love that scene, because when she gets put in the doll's body, like, she makes her legs go all weird. Like she is the doll, she can't walk at first.
Yeah, there's some great physical stuff for that, yeah. She flops around and then she's like, oh my God, this is amazing! And, you know, they do a lot of that. But Colin Robinson, he's not into that. But by the end of the episode, it seems like we've managed to find a configuration.
Yeah, that is the same. That's still the Pride Parade episode. You realise?
This is what I'm saying. A lot of stuff happens around this middle part of the season. A lot of stuff this is like between episodes like 3 and 5. It's really fucking spicy, and then I kind of feel like it trails off. But we finally like, oh, what if we put you in that body, and then I could fuck you, or you could do this, and they kind of hint in the episode that like
they figure out that
they're working
two
it
vessels
out.
In one body. Yeah,
It's 2 in one body,
two
and it's
spirits
like,
in one
okay,
vessel.
yeah, 2 spirits in one vessel, and it's like, is that okay? Now Colin Robinson's like, all right, maybe there's something here that we can work out, and then it doesn't. We don't really acknowledge it anymore. And then we just cut right back in. Is it Guillermo that walks in on them?
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's got to be fucking Paul. Imagine being Guillermo and seeing this, like, you without any of the context of the rest of that storyline. Okay,
before
so you
get
walk
there,
in.
I've just got to say one thing, because there's one great line I made note of before. You know, when they're doing when they reveal what they've done with her, and like it's basically you got Colin Robinson's head in the back, and they're doing the duet of It's Raining
The Voldemort thing, yeah.
The Pride Parade, they're doing the fucking duet, and then like one of Sean's like friends, like Frank or whatever, one of his like Staten Island buddies, just turns to him and goes, "Would you put acid in my beer again?" or something.
By the way, I think those characters have run their course.
Yeah, they stuck around a bit. Like
they don't really add anything to this one, and Sean's very one note of like, "Oh yeah, huh?" You know, kind of like.
Well, they've scrambled his brains through hypnosis.
All right, yeah, I'm not brain shaming anyone. All right, to be fair, he was like that.
He was aloof already, yeah.
He was very much like that, and I, you know, for no fault of his own, because he's had his brain scrambled, I just don't feel like those characters. We've done enough scenarios with them. I don't feel like they really add anything anymore, and. Maybe we could introduce some new friends or some different kinds of people that they can interact with, like, you know, on a recurring basis and not just random civilians each episode. But anyway, so he's Lord Voldemort. He's got a Colin Robinson on the back. You've got a fucking Naja on the front, or whatever you're up to. And there is a throwaway line at one point before this that, like, you know, Laszlo and Nandor and Colin Robinson, like that, it's all interchangeable for everyone, but we just never see it, right? We always see the escapades of Nandor, Naja, and obviously they do that on purpose to make Colin have that asexual. But then we open the door and Voldemort, Colin, Naja, he's getting absolutely fucking railed by the main man, Laszlo. And it doesn't seem like massive big deal to them. But then we get the line, "Does that hit the spot, Colin Robinson?" I lost my shit. Man. That line is just on repeat in my head all day, every day. The delivery, and I've said when we started talking about this show, wasn't the biggest Matt Berry fan, but
I'm probably going to have to put that clip in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Put that clip at the beginning. Let's open the show with it. That's fun. So yeah, love that. Again, at this point we push the boundaries. We get up to like season 5 or episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, man. I'm really trying here, dude, because it's like I do not have time now.
Nah.
But yeah, it literally once you get past the hype. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, once it gets past that hybrid creatures episode, you get the episode at the Morrigan Mansion, where you get more Christmas Shaw the Guides angle, and how
we get the Guido, like a murder mystery thing. Yeah. She's fucking. I felt like that almost undercut like how much I was like rooting for her character. I was like, that's a bit shitty. But then I realised that they're all shitty to each other. So even though they love each other, that's kind of the point of the show, right? Absolutely worked. And I feel like despite that, episode, she'll be back. I thought. Yeah. I thought that was a good one. It was a nice bottle episode. I like her. She's probably going to be on board, I think, for the rest of it. Obviously, we didn't talk about Evie and Colin and their political rise to power. Yeah. Then they get fucked over. And straight away, as soon as they get the bags put over their head, and I'm like, oh, fuck, it's a political kidnapping. How are they going to handle this? And as soon as they get into the venue, literally 3 seconds before they said it, I'm like, this is the Energy Vampire Council. I know it is. Like, and they just drag it on. They're like, we don't like bureaucracy, but we're going to take a vote and we're going to do this and we've got to check the connection on this, and everything just takes so fucking long, and it was the torture.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say with the cameos there. Like, there
was a good amount
returning cameos.
Good amount, not too many. Was it because you had Jenny Slate? Was it Jenny Slate as the the leader? I'm sure the main one was Jenny Slate.
Hannibal Buress.
He's that character actor who's in like everything, right?
Yeah,
he's the guy with the receding hairline, like the business-looking dude. Yeah,
Hannibal Buress.
Am I thinking of the right one?
No, I think you're thinking of Greg Turkington. Maybe
Okay, yeah,
he was in like
that makes
some
sense.
American stuff. Hannibal Perez was in like Eric Andre's show. He like even like raps as well, like stand up.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'll get
very
mixed with
like
guy.
dry delivery.
Yeah,
yeah,
they dragged that scene out. They did a good job with that. It was like, have you seen Zootopia? And there's a scene with a sloth. Okay, there's a scene with a sloth in Zootopia where there's a sloth-like receptionist, and it just takes ages to fill out this form because obviously.
I think I have actually seen that.
You've probably seen the clip. So this whole scene reminded me of that, and we kind of get a more, and we hint at stuff for the energy vampires that hopefully if we're getting more seasons, it seems like there's more political stuff that you could be doing there, and maybe this show does turn into House of Cards. Who knows?
I didn't want to like, again, I'm trying to like get to the last episode here, but one thing, because we didn't shout him out in the last time we talked about the series, is Doug Jones, who plays Baron Athanas.
Yeah,
the fucking Baron.
He's great.
He's amazing.
He gets some stuff in the last couple of episodes. He's really chewing up some scenery. I think I've got some of these lines where he's like, "This is a violation. This is an emancipation. This is a desecration." Like, he gets some really good stuff. And obviously, when he has a battle, full on like battle. Well, it's not really a battle because Guillermo's kind of like pissing himself and running away. But and then they hit you out of nowhere. I was like, I did not see it coming. I should have seen it coming. But he fucking got him again with the door. I could not. As soon as it happened, I was so pissed because they're like literally in the same space. I was like, how did I not see that coming? And then they just fucking got him again. I
do love that at the end as well, though. Like when he's talking about like earlier, like the callback to where he's talking, he's like, I don't even scare my neighbors anymore. Like, the neighbors see him like walking the dog, and they're like, "Whatever."
Oh yeah,
because see him at the end all burnt up, and they're like,
because obviously when he was all crispy, he was like didn't want to be like that, and then he got to be like his old self again. But then he realized that there was the drawbacks to that, and then when we leave him at the end of this season, he's like happy medium, right? He's like medium rare Baron because he's half crispy, but he's got a little bit of like normal, like a little bit of face still going on. Doug Jones, top tier,
great character. Yeah, and him like I was looking at his credits, like he's got like 171 credits, and like
absolutely. He'll probably been in like 80 things that you didn't even know he was in because he's just unrecognizable.
He's always just been. I watched an interview with him actually talking about how he's dealt with being in prosthetics and how he actually like just like sleeps through it most of the time when he's in the chair or.
Oh yeah, he's like super zen. He's figured it out. Yeah,
like, he seems like a really cool guy.
He was the Silver Surfer in
and
Fantastic
I've got like
Four
a list
2.
of all these like things. I'm not going to go for it now, but
too long. Doug Jones, absolute legend, and the hours that man has not only put in for the hours that you've seen him on screen or on set, but again. There's like 18 hours before that and after that. Like that man, and like the weight loss and the diets and everything to like get that Silver Surfer chic
that is
body.
Commitment to the role.
He
like beyond.
That man is like, he's like Andy Serkis level important, I think, to the movie industry, and he doesn't quite get that level of credit because he's doing a thing that's been around for like 100 years with the makeup, and obviously pink dots and CGI is kind of where people think like, oh, that's impressive. But yeah, absolutely fucking Doug Jones, mate.
Legend.
Loving it.
The Lon Chaney Jr. or today or Lon Chaney,
absolutely
take your pick. But yeah, let's just get to the last episode and like wrap up our thoughts because I've really
let's go. Like
bricks.
Colin had a small period where he couldn't get his fucking drain on. Fucking there's a whole Davy Crockett bit, Britney quotes, fucking fixing the hex. It's not a hex. And we get into the last episode. Let's go, George.
Yeah. So we go from that Morrigan Manor. We find out, Nandor finds out Guillermo's been turned by another vampire. He plans to kill him, obviously. And start of like the last episode, because I've watched this like 3 times now. You got Derek showing up at Guillermo's fucking motel. He's got him to like bring him some raw hamburgers, but they're not raw. Yeah, typical Derek.
Yeah, so
fucked it all up.
Of course he has. He's fucking classic, Derek. He deserves everything.
Oh no, do you away? I wish she like knocks at the door and they're like, "Who the fuck's that?" And he opens the door. She's like, "Sup, bitches," and she's like dressed as fucking Dick Tracy or whatever.
Oh, I love that. Is it Derek that tells the Baron about Guillermo as well? Like,
I think Derek just tells everyone.
Yeah, I just feel like it was just a lame thing of just like, we're just gonna have Derek kind of fuck like 2 or 3 of like the main plots and kind of to push them forwards. And again, it's just like we're gonna this whole build up of the Nandor and Guillermo confrontation. I feel like Nandor it didn't get as crazy as I thought it should have or could have. Like,
no,
I know it's not like an action show, but they could have come to more blows. You know, I at least want to see some throwing like some, because like they play up like this is a relationship drama, right? That they just don't know they're in a relationship. I would have at least liked to seen some coffee cups getting thrown around. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have liked to have seen a bit more toothy exchange. They kind of wimped out a little bit on that, the same way that they wimp out on, oh well, there's just a ceremony, and again it's a lie, it's not a real ceremony. But also apparently it's just that easy to make somebody not a vampire after being like 6 months of I know it's slowly turning him or whatever, but it still felt well too easy to resolve all of that. And I just feel like they couldn't commit to him becoming a vampire, and they couldn't commit to coming out of it either. And I don't know, it kind of just left it on a bit of a wishy-washy note for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it just went for the big heart, like ending, like let's bring it all back around, you know, which, you know, is what happens, obviously.
Yeah.
We have Guillermo, finally, they figure out, I've skipped past that part. Obviously, throughout that episode, find out Nandor. Everyone knows where he is. Nandor goes to Guillermo's mother's house.
I thought the stuff with Guillermo having to like say goodbye to his mum was really fucking effective. Like, I was like, oh shit!
I was going to say there is some like really good dramatic acting by Harvey Guillen, played Guillermo, and again in this episode, like, when they finally figure out that his blood, his Van Helsing DNA is... And
they just come out and say it, like, which we've known since episode, like, 1 or 2, and they just literally come out and explain it. I thought they explained it too on the nose.
Yeah, but it's kind of, I don't want to say contradictory, because I've never witnessed any...
Being a vampire.
Come across...
Yeah.
Yeah, and the lore of Van Helsing, like, DNA or anything. I don't know if that's really been expanded upon. I don't think it has, but
I think it's a mix of like the Van Helsing lore, and there's definitely that Blade influence. I think it's just
they pick and choose. They do pick and choose from pop culture vampire.
He's a hunter. He's immune. He's got a lineage. They kind of just, and I feel like that's fine. I feel like they pick just enough and not too much.
But get to the point where they figure out that the only thing they hadn't done and why he hadn't completely turned into a vampire because he hadn't drank.
Yeah, which again felt like it was like, and they say it in the show, like, it's too obvious that you didn't think of this, but also I'm like, yeah, that is too obvious, like, because we've already built up, like, Laszlo's apparently now all of a sudden like a science expert, but then if you're going to build him up to all of a sudden be a science expert, then you kind of got to, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's got to be a science expert. You can't just have him be like, oh, well, he just missed the most obvious, because then it just makes all of that stuff, all the creatures, all the experiments, all the tension, it just all becomes like it was all basically for nothing.
I feel like it's almost written that way to add to the comedy. Obviously, like,
but
you see it, he's just like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. And
but it wasn't that funny.
No, well, I got a chuckle, you know, a snuff out of it, whatever. But like, again, I'm trying to get through this, man. I'm sorry. Like, we get to the ending, and yeah, that's probably the most dramatic bit of acting chops shown. Really, is when Guillermo is talking about how he could smell humans' shampoo. Like, they all go on, like, basically like a killbender, don't they? They just go on a massacre.
Yeah.
Like, bar or whatever.
Yeah, that was nice, because he was like, oh, that was just a shampoo that he picked or that he picked up, and it just kind of alluded to like just having that whole image of like a whole human life and an experience of like, and really kind of getting in touch with, you know, the little things or whatever, and kind of like such a small thing just completely like shifting his kind of perspective without having to like beat you over the head with it. Thought that was really good. Absolutely.
Well done. Yeah, so again at the end, Nandor said like, as I expected, which shows how he's said like the reason why he, or part of the reason why he never turned him, because he didn't think he was ready to be a vampire, and evidently he's not. So they figure out that he has to kill the person who turned him to become human again. And they do so with that ceremony. And I remember thinking, I know you're not a fan of Derek or whatever. I was just like, oh, that kind of sucks.
Hashtag fuck Derek.
Yeah, you're like, fuck Derek. I was like, whatever, you know. I kind of felt a little bit bad. That's why I kind of liked that post-credit thing with the necromancer. They revisit Topher. I can't even remember.
That was fun.
It was just a nice little like after or wrap up sort of thing. Like, we'll take him and you know, get him turned into a zombie, and then, you know, gets put in the zombie sweatshop.
Really? Is that how you took it? I thought they were going to be like all friends, like hanging out, like it's like a fucking frat party. Zombie. It shows
them at the end of that episode with the Topher. Like, I don't know if you remember, like when they take him back to the necromancer.
Oh yeah, it's not a party at all, is it?
Like, he's just a northern accented, Asian, like. Like wheeler dealer necromancer.
Man, I'm gonna fuck myself up.
I've got his name. His name's Benedict Wong.
Benedict Wong. Thank fuck for. There was two Asian actors, and I was like, I do not want to fuck this up. I do not want to fuck it up. It was not Bobby Lee, who I see a lot lately on my on my feed. They're funny. Him and Andrew Santino, who I've been familiar with a little bit. Like, he's anyway, they're really funny. Anyway, we'll talk about them another time. No, I didn't think it was Bobby Lee. I'm not got the Andrew Santino levels of fucking goal that they fucking the shit that they say to each other.
It's pretty on the edge.
Another time. Oh, by the way, Patton Oswalt cameo fucking irritated the fuck out of me. It was too obvious. Like, he cameos in everything. Like, he's just like that nerd guy.
He's all right.
And it was just, he doesn't. They're in Staten Island. He lives in LA. Like, what? Why would he be there? The John Slattery was funny. That was really funny because that was random and unexpected and just weird. But Patton Oswalt is like, well, he's cameoed in like every fucking comedy show. Like, he's in Big Bang Theory. He's in fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's in what's the other one that he appears in? Parks and Rec.
I can't go through every Patton Oswalt thing right now.
Fuck Patton Oswalt. George hates Patton
I think
Oswalt.
he's all right, mate. But yeah, I did like that when he had him. He literally threw him off the building, and he's like,
yeah.
He does make a good point though.
Everything he said was on the mark, but it just didn't need to be Patton Oswalt. Really, I just felt like that whole thing was just took me out. But doesn't matter. But everyone's fine. Overall thoughts. We're back to the status quo. It seems for season 6. If we're doing season 6, I haven't looked up to see if they are, which I probably should have done. Maybe I'd just like a surprise. They probably are.
So yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're doing it. So we're back to the status quo. I think Guido is going to be fully in there. I'm glad that we're back to the status quo because it's kind of where I wanted it to be, but also just almost feels like we wasted like half a season here by dragging out all of the vampire, not a vampire, will he, won't he, does he, doesn't he? And it just all got resolved a little bit unsatisfyingly. I would still, if I was giving the other seasons, and I don't remember what I gave them, but I gave them like a 4 out of 5, I reckon. So this one is like a 3. Yeah, it's a 3 or a 2.75. Right. If I was being harsh, but I give it a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 Colin Robinson spots that got hit. Because multiple times, fucking consecutive orgasms. You get them, boy. Go on, you do it. But what about you?
All right. It's not been my favourite season so far.
Might even be my least favourite season.
It's definitely not
out of the 5.
I don't know. I'm going to go with 3.5 necromancers. I don't know.
3.5 necromancers. Necromancers can cut themselves up and reanimate themselves, and then they get the fuck out of here. That's fine.
Yeah,
we've all got stuff going on. Next week we got Rebel Moon. We got Home. We're going to do a watch along of Home Alone at some point. That's coming up. We've got things, Christmassy stuff, spooky stuff, nerdy stuff. Aquaman is coming out as well. Aquaman is probably the week after next week. We'll talk about it another time. Like and subscribe, share and subscribe. Doing it all. Poproast podcast. Come and see us again. Dean Lee Live. Go and follow George and his band Mechromorph. Do all of that stuff. And we'll see you soon.
Peace.